Good morning, folks. So I learned a lesson, and that is don't leave don't leave the board in the plastic overnight, because it's going to be hard to pull it off. It's nothing the grinder can't fix. Oh well. One more bottom to do. I got a nice two-tone paint job here, and then I can start glossing the decks. In my 60 years of sailing, kiteboarding, surfing, and windsurfing, I've noticed that it's always the ends that break off of boards the easiest. So what I'm doing with these boards is I'm putting plywood end blocks on that I'll grind to fit the shape and then glass over. And here you can see me laminating, and what I did, okay, so there you can see I used a brush to wet it out because I save resin that way. Not so much resin goes on the floor, so I use a squeegee and a brush. There you can see after I put the vacuum bag on how you can pull the bubbles out of it, and even when it looks like that you can still get it out. And here's a little cleanup that I'm doing, and what I did, I'll tell you maybe at the end of the video what I did wrong in this lamination, because I'm always experimenting. Yeah, you see some bubbles here and there, but it's not going to break the bank. This is one of my prototype boards. And here you see how the rail gets kind of wrinkled, and I will come on in person here in a minute and explain why that happened. But the secret is to pull the plastic off as soon as the resin gets hard, sort of like dried bubble gum where it's still kind of pliable. You want to pull the plastic off at that point. You can see here where it's still kind of soft. I can push down on it, and I'm going to show you how I take a razor blade, cut off those ends, and later I'm going to put those end blocks on and shape them, and I'll make a short video of that also. You can see the bottom came out pretty nice and slick there. And once you pull that plastic off, make sure to put it back in the rocker jig. This one went back in the rocker jig. Had to put the saw on the back to keep the tail flat. And here you can see the rail came out okay, but I will explain in a minute at the end of what happened here with this layup. I tried something else out. Yep, here I am sanding. So yeah, using the sander to grind down that resin that got piled up in the ridges, and put a bucket of paint on there to hold the board down. And I'll use this sander, cheapo sander from Harbor Freight, that works just fine. And I also used a grinder with a flap disc on it. Here you can see me sanding the rails. It's a little tricky. And then I had to do some real hand sanding. This is the board where the plastic got stuck on it overnight, so I really had to work on this rail. I won't have to do it on the other ones, but on this one I had to really get all that plastic off before I do the next lamination on there, the deck lamination. And the block is good, you know, use a 2x4 as a block. That way you hit all the high spots and you get it nice and smooth. Okay, I'm showing you where the plastic is still here, that still needs to be sanded there. That was from leaving the plastic on. And I want to get it, I'll show you in a second here where I want to get it to. I want to get it to this level. And I did both rails like this. So I tried to make sure I got a good with this third one, where instead of wrapping the rails with the resin as I would normally do before I put the bag on, I actually put the bag on before I wrapped the rails, thinking I would save some time and wouldn't have to get all the resin on my hands. But that didn't work out so well. It worked, it worked, but it didn't come out as clean as it did when I previously wrapped the rails and then put the bag on afterwards. And then this time I also flipped the board upside down to clean it up, but there was quite a bit of resin on there. So now I'm going to do the decks. I have 3 decks to do and still a little more cleanup to do. See you next video.